Alright, what is up everybody? I'm back. It's been longer than a week. I'm trying to almost do a mock draft or do something once a week at least. And I do want to try to start doing more videos more often. I actually kind of have been thinking about doing a video or a stream talking about stuff like the Panthers have done, like Frank Reich and all that stuff, a bunch of stuff about the Panthers, a bunch of stuff about the Jags too, and what I think they should do this off season. But today we're gonna do a mock Carolina Panthers and Jacksonville Jaguars mock draft. And to start things off, I'm gonna try to do a trade here with the Bears. I'll just do this, I guess. Trade accepted. Alright. So starting off the draft here, I'm going to go with my personal favorite and who I think I think the Panthers in this draft really need to get that guy of the future this year, especially with after getting Frank Reich. I think that is exactly what they're going to do, whether it be Bryce Young, Will Levis, CJ Stroud, or Anthony Richardson. But I'm going to go CJ. Because I personally think it's going to be CJ Stroud if they trade up to 1. I think it's a very good chance that they do trade up all the way to 1 and get CJ Stroud. Because I feel like Bryce Young, I mean, even if the Bears don't trade down with like the Colts, let's say, the Colts, the Bears would probably just still end up taking a defensive guy. And then you could see them trading up with the Cardinals, which would be a much easier trade package because it wouldn't cost as much as it would for the number 1 overall pick. But I definitely think that it's very strong, very likely that happens. This is not realistic, but this is not a complete mock draft. I mean, that's still a little bit weird, but same with that. I mean, their O-line is pretty good. But yeah, I mean, looking at all the other picks, I know I'm mostly doing Panthers and Jaguars, but Bryce Young, that seems reasonable. I could see that happening. Somebody reaching / taking the guy who is a higher upside than some of the other guys. But yeah, then Will Levis, I could see Brian Brzee going number 5 to the Seahawks. Paris Johnson Jr. I don't see going this high to the. I think it's defense that the Lions go first. Jalen Carter's not going to drop that far. Will Anderson, that would be a dream scenario for them. Will Anderson's not going to fall that far, but that's a dream scenario. That I could see happening, but I think they go defense more. I don't see that happening. I could see that happening, but I don't see him dropping. That I could see, that I could see, that I could see, that I can see, that I don't think I can see. That's maybe, but I don't think so. Yes, no, too high. I mean, he's good, but too high. Yes, maybe. Yes, I've seen people mock draft him there. And then yes, for sure. But on to the Jags, and moving on from all those. Obviously, big news. Sean Payton was traded earlier today. And that's a big. I did not expect. I thought he wasn't going to get traded until next year, maybe. Which his contract would only have like 1 year left still. But Sean Payton got traded today, and DeMeco Ryans, so there's only 2 more spots left. There's only 2 more head coaching positions open. I think technically 1 because I think Jim Irsay and the Colts are probably going to pick or are going to take Jeff Saturday, even though that's not the best move ever. They probably are going to. Steve Wilkes as well might become the new DC in San Fran, and I think that's a good opportunity for him. I think after next year he could get a Kyle Shanahan has done an amazing job developing coaches and getting them to be really good and get jobs. I mean, DeMeco Ryans now, it's only been like a year or 2 since DeMeco has become the DC after Robert Saleh left, and he's already got a coaching job. and he might get another guy who probably deserves a job. I mean, I don't think it was a bad pick at all for the Carolina Panthers. I was hoping they would go an offensive guy in Frank Reich or Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen was my guy who I was hoping they were going to go with, but I think Frank Reich, I'm still excited for. I mean, it's still an offensive guy. But anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling and go back to what I'm doing. Just wanted to say that about Steve Wilkes and stuff. But Jacksonville, looking at who all is here, I think the biggest positions. I mean, JSN is a maybe. Jordan Addison or a Josh Downs, I would actually really like because they're a deep threat that can beat people down the field. And we have Calvin Ridley coming, who's going to be able to do that a little bit. But, I mean, adding another guy into that receiving core would be awesome. Michael Mayer's a possible one that I would see here, too. JSN, though, I really like JSN, too, because he would be a very good pick here for them. I hate that it does that. Tight end, you could see if you don't get Evan Ingram back, which in this scenario I'm going to say we got him back and Jawan Taylor. I might do a video talking about what I think they should do, and it's going to be kind of like a copy and paste of what another guy's done. You guys might know him, Jordan DeLugo, the Gen Jag. I think he had some really good ideas, and I just want to talk about how I feel about his ideas and what I think and they should do as well. And basically, I don't think you go tight end here. If you don't resign him, Jordan did say Luke Musgrave would be a pretty good one. I would be down for that. Darnell Washington as well. Running back, you don't need tackle. I guess you could still see them going. Broderick Jones, Darnell Wright has skyrocketed up. I think he would be a solid pick as well. I mean, a literal swing tackle because he can play both sides. I think maybe he even goes in the first round before the Jags pick even. Inside O-line, obviously, Osiris Torrance isn't here anymore, but I would say him. Maybe later on, Steve Avila. Andrew Voorhees as well is a pretty good player. Cornerback, I feel if you go cornerback, it's more of a slot guy because now Darius Williams is going to stay on the outside. Joey Porter Jr. I would love because I would give them a stacked corner room. But Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams you're going to want to keep outside. Excuse me. And I would love for Joey Porter Jr. to go to the Jags. I don't think he's really going to be here at all. And I would love for him to go there and make that DB room very deep. But you got Antonio Johnson is a tempting pick here because he would give you a guy who could cover those tight ends. He could be a slot guy, a slot safety / nickel who can be in the slot to guard those tight ends. And if you want to run another cornerback, like a different guy who you draft or sign in the slot to actually cover receivers and just have Antonio Johnson play in the slot when there's a tight end that you want to cover, you go him or even Brian Branch. Interior, not really. I mean, I definitely think they could probably use interior. Edge, I think that actually getting a three-man kind of rotation of B.J. Ojolari, Trayvon Walker, and Josh Allen would be an amazing trio. I watched Jordan Lugo Jinjak did an amazing mock draft that I loved that he did, and I loved the entire mock draft, maybe except until the last three, just because the last three picks, the 6th and 7th round, I don't get too excited for those picks unless they turn out to be breakouts like Brock Purdy, Tom Brady, or some of these other guys who show up out of nowhere. But linebacker I don't see just because I think it's probably between here. I would say B.J. Ojolari, Antonio Johnson, Joey Porter is tempting, but I don't think I would. And I think right now, I mean, it would be awesome to even get one of these top receivers that are left. It's very hard to pick, but I think really in reality, you got to go for a guy I think you got to go defense because this offense, adding Calvin Ridley, and if you keep Jawan Taylor and and Evan Ingram, which I have them doing in this, I think you have a very good offense. And I watched a podcast earlier or a show where these people, they talked about the Jags. They said the Jags offense could be as good or keep up as much or with the Chiefs offense. It's just the defense is the part, or they kind of made the point that the defense is the part that would affect it, because I agree with that, because our offense is good enough, I feel, to where they can keep up with these other high-powered offenses. It's just a matter of we need more defensive help to help us kind of help stop them a little bit more. And that is why I think offense you still could go with JSN, Jordan Addison, a tight end maybe. But I think you got to get defensive help. And I'm going to go B.J. Ojulari. I think that's a very good pick for them to make going B.J. Because I think that's getting him. He's a speed rusher. He's a guy who can be very good for you in the long run. And I just think that's a very, very good pick for the Jags. And, why is it not going faster? There we go. But yeah, I think that if you do that, you're getting a very nice rotation, because B.J. Ojulari is also coming in already as a very, very good, solid player who can be. He's gonna be productive his first year. I mean, he's kind of like what you didn't get in Aiden Hutchinson a little bit, except not a top 2 pick, obviously. But I still think he's good enough to add to the rotation and take at 24. I don't think he would be here at 56. I mean, he obviously wouldn't. And here he definitely wouldn't be, because another guy, if Antonio Johnson, I don't think he would drop this far. But that would be another guy who I'd look at. I mean, I could see if Antonio Johnson and or B.J. Ojulari are here in this range. I mean, I know B.J. he'll probably be here, maybe even into the early second round. I could see the Jags doing a thing like last year, except obviously their first pick would be earlier on. But I could see them packaging a deal, and if I were them, I would maybe do that to trade up and then get B.J. Ojulari and maybe even Antonio Johnson. But also, at pick 56, where you're at, is a very good spot to go a guy in Deonte Banks, who I watched Jordan DeLugo, and he had with the second pick for the Jags, he took Deonte Banks, which I agree with, because he said that he can be a very good slot player, and that's exactly what we need. In the cornerback room, we more need a slot guy. Joey Porter Jr. would be awesome, but we need a slot guy. Joey Porter would probably be an outside guy, and then we would probably have to move either Tyson Campbell or most likely Darius Williams inside. And Joey Porter Jr. I would love, because that would make that cornerback room very deep. But I think it's better to just wait and get a guy like Antonio Johnson or Deonte Banks or Brian Branch to put in the slot. Now moving on to the Carolina Panthers. Here, I think, is a spot. Obviously, we went and traded up and got C.J. Stroud. That's why we didn't have that one pick up here, pick 39. And I think here you got to go with a guy, an edge like Isaiah McGuire would be a very good pick. Zach Harrison is a decent player as well. Jalen Hyatt, I think they could use a guy like a Jalen Hyatt, who can spread the field. He's a vertical threat that can be. He's gonna help you out with how good of a vertical threat he really is, and I think that's a guy who you could use for C.J. Stroud. Jahmyr Gibbs as well. I think they're probably gonna re-sign Dante Foreman, but Jahmyr Gibbs would be awesome. I mean, a speedy back. When they traded Christian McCaffrey, and even before that, I was thinking if they trade Christian McCaffrey, go out and get a guy like a Jahmyr Gibbs. Because Jahmyr Gibbs, from what I saw from him, I loved what he did this season, and I thought it was a really good job. And yeah, I mean, I would love to get a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs. Some more guys that I could see is A.T. Perry's a decent guy. He's a taller guy. It's too early, in my opinion, to go for him here. If you went wide receiver here, it'd probably be more Jalen Hyatt, maybe even a Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman is not a deep threat guy. He's a jump ball more kind of receiver. He's a bigger guy, and I feel like that's more what he's used for. So I don't think we go receiver yet. If Marvin or Jalen Hyatt is gone by the time we get to the next Panthers pick, which I do think he will be, then I think you go, or I don't think you go, well, I think you could go receiver with the next pick. I don't know where I was going with that, but basically what I'm trying to say is that you don't go receiver here because it's too early. It's not too early for Jalen Hyatt, I think, but I think here you could go, I mean, interior O-line wouldn't be too bad, maybe. I don't think you go tackle because you just got Icky. The right tackle, though, there were some things with Taylor Moton that it seemed like he was maybe regressing a little bit this year, but I still think he's going to be good enough to be the right tackle. Cornerback, Jalen Jones right here is a guy who I look at possibly taking. DJ Turner as well is another guy. Safety, I don't think you go safety yet. I think you wait still for that. Defensive interior, wait. Edge is definitely a guy. Isaiah McGuire, Zach Harrison. To get a guy, Isaiah Foskey, he's kind of dropped, but he's still a solid player. KJ Henry maybe too. I think it's too early maybe for KJ, even though I'm a Clemson guy. Byron Young. There's some solid edges. Linebacker, I could see them going here too. Noah Sewell, he's dropped. He's not the best, but he would still be a decent guy to get here. The guys that I look more for, though, is like Drew Sanders, Jack Campbell, some of those guys. Trenton Simpson, but Trenton was probably taken in the first round, yeah. But yeah, I think here, though, you'll look at maybe an edge, not defensive interior, not safety. Well, who are this? Well, yeah, not safety yet. Cornerback, running back, maybe with Jahmyr Gibbs, even though I don't think they'll necessarily need him, and wide receiver. And I think this is mainly what you focus on. I don't know why it says still QB as a need when we covered it, but that doesn't matter. Tight end, I don't think there's really, like, Sam Laporta is a decent tight end, but I don't think you go tight end here. Since, like, Darnell Washington, if he dropped here, I would probably have taken him, but tight end I would wait on. And I think here I'm going to go with a guy, I don't think I'm going to go running back, even though Jahmyr Gibbs is very tempting here. I think that I'm going to go with, this is actually tricky. This is hard for me to pick. I think I'm going to go for a guy, and I'm going to go Jalen Jones. I think that he's a very good player that you definitely could use. Damn it. Jahmyr Gibbs. Fuck. I was going to trade up and try to get Jahmyr Gibbs maybe, but that's all right. But yeah, so now you get Jalen Jones. You get a guy who I believe is an outside corner. I haven't seen too much on him or just looked too much into him, but I believe he's a guy who is a corner that you need. He would add depth. He would probably add a guy who's going to be very solid. He's a guy who could go in the first round still. Isaiah McGuire taken here. Garrett Williams, a solid guy. Garrett Williams was another guy that I was tempted to take. Isaiah, if I took edge, was a guy that I was tempted to take. Obviously, Jalen Hyatt I talked about. Zach Harrison as well. Jahmyr Gibbs. Cedric Tillman's gone. Sadly, don't pick for a while. But, a lot of solid players going off the board here. But yeah, back to the Jags. At this point for the Jags, I think you gotta go. Let's see, wide receiver. You could definitely use a bigger guy and like an A.T. Perry. This would actually be a perfect spot for A.T. Perry. A.T. Perry. Probably not any of the tackles here. Steve Avila would be a very good pick here. Cornerback. No, I didn't get cornerback. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, yeah. Well, no cornerback anyways. Clark Phillips, I'm surprised, is there. Defensive interior, they could definitely still use, but I don't think you go defensive interior here. Safety. I'm not. There's actually not. Even though this is the 3rd round, this is honestly a trade back spot. I mean, Isaiah Foskey's here, but I don't think you go Isaiah Foskey. Isn't Gervin Dexter? Isn't that a Gervon Dexter? Did I spell that right? Yeah. Gervin Dexter. Wait, is he a senior? Senior? How much? Isn't he the guy who's like 400 pounds? I think he is. No, he's only 312. Is he the no, he isn't the super big. Okay, I thought he was the really big, like 420-pound player that they had. Yeah. I mean, I think here though, I'm gonna go a guy. I think I'm gonna go Steve Avila. You get a guard who can either start for you now, or he can start for you now. Well, probably not, actually. You could sit behind you, add depth to that guard, or even be a starter if you have any injuries. Gosh darn it, Bengals! I was gonna go Isaiah Foskey here with the Panthers. I was gonna go Isaiah Foskey because edge is a big need, obviously, and you don't have. I haven't taken that yet. God darn it! I should have paused it or slowed it down and traded up, but yeah, now edge is taken. Not too many big edges here. Let's look. Wide receiver, A.T. Perry. Like I said, I'm tempted to go. A.T. Perry, I would say, is one of them. Tight end. No. I would honestly be fine taking a Clark Phillips because that would give us Jalen Jones, who could be an outside guy, and even though we have C.J. Henderson still, and obviously, I'm brain farting, Dante Jackson. They could trade Dante Jackson before the draft for some draft capital, and if that's the case here, I mean, obviously there's no pick to represent that, but I think that it would be Clark Phillips would add depth. He would also give you a guy who can play the slot and be a very good slot for you. Because right now, I think obviously you have J.C. Horn, who's a for sure outside guy. You have C.J. Henderson, who's also an outside cornerback. And you have Dante Jackson, who is an outside but can probably play slot guy. And I think that's very tempting to go with. Defensive interior, Gervin Dexter is maybe a little bit of a tempting pick here. Byron Young, there's 2 Byron Youngs in this draft, I believe. And, yeah, they're literally his name spelled the same and everything. Defensive interior would be tempting here because you need a run stopper, and I believe that's what Byron Young would bring to you. Linebacker, too, Noah Sewell I maybe would have gone with here. But yeah, I think it's probably between, an edge would be tempting here too. A.T. Perry, like I said, another guy who's tempting. I think that here, though, I think I got to go with a guy, either Clark Phillips or A.T. Perry. Because A.T. Perry, what the fuck? A.T. Perry is, 6'5", 205 pounds. He's just a jump ball, very good receiver. I want to see his stats actually real quick against Clemson. What were his stats against Clemson? Clemson versus Wake Forest. Yeah, it was a crazy game. I'm not 100% sure how good he did. Okay, sorry about this, everybody. Stepping away from the mock draft here to kind of figure this out. Not sling, what the... What the hell? Alright, so... it's all gonna be all the way down here, isn't it? Teams. Let's go scores. Sure, why not top 25? It's gonna be all the way back at the beginning of the year. Before that, even. Before that. I cannot believe Clemson let them come back that much. Probably week 5, I would say. Nope. They faced them this early in the year. Okay, yeah, here it is. So looking at it, let me look here. Sorry about this taking so much time up. A.T. Perry. Well, actually, he didn't do as good as I thought he maybe did. But even still, I think A.T. Perry is a very tempting pick here. And I'm taking a long time here. And I think adding depth at the cornerback, I think it's between A.T. Perry and Clark Phillips at this point. And I think you got to go and add some more depth at the wide corner. I feel like I'm at the store trying to figure out what I want to buy. When I want something, but I'm only wanting, or at the time I only want to buy one. I feel like I'm at the store trying to figure out which thing I want to buy. But obviously, we're not buying anything. We're trying to draft and build this team up. I mean, I think it's also still a very good spot to go another need. And I think maybe I'm going to go Andrew Voorhees. I wasn't thinking about him at all there. But I think, holy shit, they have 3 picks like that? What the fuck? They really need another guy. I mean, they probably do need a jump ball guy. But, anyways, I do think that is a solid pick. I think it adds depth to our offensive line. I mean, Andrew Voorhees, I think, can come in right away and play for you if you have Brady Christensen. I expect to be back for the regular season. It's more Austin Corbett, who I could see not starting. And I forgot about Cade Mays. But Cade Mays is also another guy that can step in for you. So I maybe should have gone Clark Phillips or A.T. Perry, but that's all right anyways. Where did Clark Phillips went to a few picks back after ours. But yeah, here I think it's easy pick. I'm going to go KJ Henry. A little biased, but also KJ Henry is a very solid player. He's going to help them stop the run. He's decent at stopping the run, so he's going to do that for you. Jacksonville Jaguars. So far with the Jags, I have gone slot corner and Deonte Banks, B.J. Ojulari, and Steve Avila. And I think here now is a spot where you go... I was thinking about Cedric Van Pran, but they have Luke Fortner, who's a younger guy, just became a starter and stuff. Israel... I'm not going to try to say his name because I'm going to mess it up. Abani Kanda. Kanda is a solid player. Ooh. Xavier Hutchinson. I'm going to go Xavier Hutchinson. He's a very good player. and I think he would be a very good fit here in Jacksonville. He's not 6'5" like A.T. Perry, but he's a guy who can go up for those jump balls, and he's a deep threat that's going to be very good for you. Carolina again. I think here is a spot, honestly. I'm going to go... Cedric Van Pran's actually tempting. Even though I expect them to bring back Bradley Bozeman, I think that Cedric Van Pran would honestly still be a very solid pick. And also, Israel Abanikanda, also I could see them going, and I think I'm gonna pick between those two guys, and I think I'm gonna go Cedric Van Pran. I think whether you bring back Bradley Bozeman or not, he can be a very good player for you. Now at pick 147 for the Panthers, this is the 5th round, and a guy who I feel like could go earlier and is still a very good player in Deuce Vaughn, and I'm going to go Deuce Vaughn. That's basically what I'm saying. Oh, dang. Henry Toto was another guy that was going. Deuce Vaughn, yeah, he's a smaller guy. I think he can still be solid in the NFL. I mean, as we saw, he was a beast in college. I mean, he has the longest run in Alabama history against Alabama. Alabama has never let up like an 80-something yard touchdown run ever, and he's the first person to ever do it to him, which I think is awesome. And yeah, I'm going him. Now looking back to the Jags. So I've gotten edge, I've gotten corner, I've gotten guard, I've gotten a receiver. Yes, I remember that. Receiver. Here is a spot. I'm not sure. Brenton Strange is decent by a little bit of bias, but no, not edge. Who's that edge that I just saw? Ali Gay. No, that's not the guy who injured his ACL the first week of the season. I forget who the guy is that was really good for LSU that injured his leg in the first week of the season against FSU, but he apparently is like a top player kind of dude. I'm guessing he stayed. DJ Turner, even though we got cornerback already, it would be decent to get another guy. And DJ Turner. I don't think he even drops as far, honestly. But also, where'd he go? Where's the running back that I just saw? Oh yeah, Kenny McIntosh. I think he's a little bit. Kenny misclick. Kenny McIntosh. He's 6'1". I think he's maybe more of a power back. I'm not sure. Maybe he's another speed back, kind of like. I'm brain farting. Kind of like Travis Etienne, but I'm not sure. Didn't watch Georgia much. I think though I'm gonna go Kenny McIntosh just because corner or running back. I mean, you get that depth. You get a guy who's gonna be a solid player behind. I mean, I still think no matter what, he's gonna be a solid player to have behind Travis Etienne. Here for Carolina, even though it's a little late and he's probably never going to be a starter, I'm going to go Ventrell Miller, a solid player out of Florida, and you get a linebacker, which is exactly what they need. Back to Jacksonville. I mean, Alabama guys are always decent. Evan Neal, obviously, I'm happy that they didn't take him first overall, because unless he would have played different for us, I mean, I would have loved to have that tackle, but I definitely think our defense needed Trayvon. Even though he didn't get too many sacks, I still think he's going to be way better next year. And if we got B.J. Ojulari in that rotation, that would be awesome. I'm going to go Tyler Steen, though. Get a backup. Also a guy who could maybe start if you don't get Jawan Taylor. Obviously, in this, we're playing it as if I got Jawan Taylor, or they re-signed Jawan Taylor back. Now, just going to randomly pick. Obviously, I'm kidding. I think I might just go wide receiver here. I don't think it's too big of a deal who you go if you're Carolina. I mean, at this point, it's the 7th round, so it's not too big of a pick. And I'm gonna go Zach Huntz. Get us a tight end, which is exactly what they need. And that's actually all the draft picks for both my teams I'm drafting as. So, grading my draft. An A, an F. I get he's 97th overall, but he's a guy who could go in the first round. Oh wait, that's the grade for the trade. Just solid. Anyways, CJ Stroud, definitely agree with that. Disagree with this. I think it's at least maybe a C+ or a B- or a B. Andrew Voorhees, this pick was very I don't know. I probably should have gone A.T. Perry or Clark Phillips with this pick. But I ended up going Andrew Voorhees. Depth on that O-line, possibly a future guy too. KJ Henry, obviously, need edge. Cedric Van Pran, you get a guy who can also come in and either, if you don't bring back Bradley Bozeman, he could be your starter right away. Deuce Vaughn, solid running back. Ventrell Miller, a solid, I almost said cornerback, linebacker. And then tight end, and then also the Jaguars, B.J. Ojulari. Screw that grade. I think that's an amazing pick. A lot of those draft picks I don't agree with, but B.J. Ojulari, Deonte Banks, both amazing picks. That defense is already going to be a little bit better, and you could still get some more guys in free agency if they do some changes during the offseason, restructure contracts, which I expect them to do for a lot of them. You could go out and get a Deron Payne, which I would love to see. I mean, he's going to cost a lot, but Deron Payne coming here, that would be awesome. I mean, you get B.J. Ojulari, or another rotation guy. You can even sometimes move Trayvon Walker inside if you want to have Trayvon inside and B.J. and Josh Allen as the edges. Deonte Banks, you get that corner in the slot. Steve Avila, you get a guy who could possibly be your future guard. And also Brandon Sheriff, I didn't mention this, but Brandon Sheriff getting a little bit older. He can be he can be depth. He can be a starter. He can be backup. Xavier Hutchinson, a taller wide receiver, a little bit taller wide receiver, can be a jump ball guy, a solid guy. Kenny McIntosh, get you a guy behind, excuse me, a guy behind Travis Etienne. Tyler Steen, a tackle, depth, yada yada, no, depth, and a guy who can maybe still be solid because, I mean, he can be, I mean, Alabama always has good talent. Even if they drop, they're decent, except Dante Brown. We should have gone. I mean, I know that Trey Smith was gone before the Deonte Brown pick. It was the Thomas Fletcher pick that the Carolina Panthers messed up on. They should have picked Trey Smith. I still pissed off because now he would have been awesome. In Madden, he's only an 83 overall. I know it's Madden, but yeah, I mean, he's definitely a very good player. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I am maybe gonna do a video talking about what I think the Jags should do, and maybe even just doing a singular Jaguars mock draft coming up. I kind of want to do a video talking about what I think the Jags should do when it comes to their offseason, who they should restructure, and who they should try to re-sign, which in my opinion is at least Jawan Taylor and Evan Ingram, maybe even Arden Key as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.